Do you wanna know how to make great tomato soup every single time? Well, by using tin tomatoes you're gonna get great results no matter the season. And if it's first time we meet, make sure you subscribe. I have a new simple recipe coming on the channel every single Friday. Turn your oven at 200 degrees Celsius or about 400 Fahrenheit, and let's move on straight to the vegetables. For this recipe I'm using 2 white onions and about 6 cloves of garlic. Chop it roughly, you don't need to be that precise because this is gonna get fried and after that pureed, so nothing to worry about. The onion will have the same story, and I'm also adding some celery sticks in there. 2 will definitely do the job. You can also consider adding carrots if you want to, but I'm just gonna stick with what I've got at this point. To give a better flavor to our soup, I'm gonna make a quick bouquet garni. This is kind of a semi-bouquet garni because we're missing the parsley, but we have the rest of the ingredients, which are thyme and bay leaves. And I'm also adding a sprig of rosemary. I mean, to be honest, you don't really need to keep it by the book, you can play with it and add your favorite herbs. By keeping it tight using a rope, you can remove the herbs easily once they've done their job. And you don't have to fish them individually after that, it really helps. Set a large pot on medium-high heat and add about 100 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil. I know it kind of looks a lot and I know it's extra virgin olive oil, you shouldn't really fry with it, but you need to trust me on this one, it really works. Cook the vegetables for about 10 minutes or until you see them getting that nice golden brown color. Once you get to this point, it's time to add the tomatoes, and since we are not in season, at least here in Jersey it's definitely not the tomato season, we are using tin tomatoes. You don't need to invest much to get some really good tin tomatoes. Just make sure you get whole peeled tomatoes. As you can see what's going on in the tin. With the chopped ones it's kind of difficult and I don't really trust them. Add a bit of water to the tins and rinse them slightly. Nothing gets wasted. The bouquet garni goes in. Just make sure you secure it on the handle of the pan. Follow with the seasoning. 1 tablespoon of table salt and about 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grounded black pepper. Add some chili flakes if you feel like you want to, and you can even consider some dry oregano. Put the lid on and let it simmer for about 45 minutes. And meanwhile, we're gonna prepare some peppers. These are kind of optional and you don't have to add them if you don't want to, but I believe they work well in this combination, just make sure you don't abuse them. Don't add more than 2 because you're gonna turn this into more of a pepper soup than a tomato. Add some thyme and a few cloves of crushed garlic. Follow with the seasoning, a good pinch of salt and a good pinch of pepper, and a drizzle of olive oil. Mix the peppers properly so they get well coated in seasoning and in oil, before getting them into the oven for 25 to 30 minutes or until they are properly roasted. Cause when they get properly roasted they become sweeter and that's what we need. Since the tomatoes are still simmering, we have some peppers in the oven, we still have enough time to get some sort of garnish. And I thought instead of having plain bread with the soup, I'm just gonna make it slightly different. So it's gonna go some cheese on top and a bit of extra virgin olive oil and all that kind of goodness. So after slicing this French baguette, get a bit of cheese grated. Today I'm using smoked Scarmoza, it's one of my favorites and I highly recommend using it. But you can definitely adapt to any other cheese that you prefer. The peppers should be ready by now so they can come out of the oven. The sliced baguette is gonna take their place and we are cooking this for about 5 to 10 minutes or until you see the cheese properly melted. The tomatoes simmer for about 45 minutes, so now we can slowly put together the soup. You can use a jug blender similar to the one I use, or you can use a stick blender, but to be honest the jug blender does better results because it's got higher speed rotation. Peel the peppers. The outside layer of the peppers is kind of tough and bitter, and it tends to affect the soup's consistency, so try to get rid of it if possible. Get the tomatoes into the jug, together with the peeled peppers. Because of their intense red color, you can immediately notice that the peppers give a nicer color to the soup. Not that the tomatoes are not red enough, but you can definitely notice a difference. If you want even a smoother consistency, you can consider passing this through a sieve. But in my opinion, you can keep everything the way it is, because it's got a very good nutritional value. Add the soup to the bowl and serve immediately, garnish with fresh oregano or fresh thyme and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Please give this a big thumbs up and check my green healthy soup that's on the screen right now. See you next Friday with a new video recipe.